Hi, this is Jay Seville of the WilmingtonRealEstate.com team. That's Wilmington-Real-Estate.com. And here's the cheesy logo. It only cost 75 bucks, so I think that was a great value for a logo, considering I know nothing about that stuff. But I do know a lot about vacation rentals, and most of the people I talk to that reach out to me, or I reach out to them, they're first time investors or second home buyers. They've had on their mind for probably years the idea of having a beach property, and most of them, they're not upper class folks, they're middle class folks and upper middle class people, and they actually need the numbers to work. They don't come in and pay cash. They buy a property with a mortgage and they need those rental numbers to work, and that's the most intimidating part of the whole equation here. Is it going to pay for itself with a certain amount of mortgage? So I walk people through that. I make sure they don't make any mistakes, and I'm quite savvy, erudite, and authoritative on how to do this effectively. So this is called the Ultimate Guide to Buying a Vacation Rental Beach Home, and I'm doing this again because the one I was using the last 2 years just got deleted by my 11-year-old daughter by accident. So with kids like that, who needs enemies, right? Real quick, I just closed 8 properties in August. No, that's not normal for me, but just to show you what I'm about, one of them was in Oak Island, Holden Beach. Let's see if I can do the screen drawing thing and pop this out a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So Oak Island, Holden Beach. Southport was not a rental. Oak Island. And then I hop over as well to the next tab, and these were in that one is going to be sort of a semi-rental. North Topsail Beach, Kure Beach. So I'm all over the map. I know all the beaches in North Carolina, and each beach has its own character, nuances, and issues to be aware of, and that's why you work with me, because I'm probably the only realtor in North Carolina that knows all these beaches. Most realtors just work a strip, this strip or that strip. I work pretty much all of them. The WilmingtonRealEstate.com site is nice because it organizes all the beaches by drop down. Carolina Beach, Emerald Isle Beach, Holden Beach. You just drop down, immediately see the oceanfronts on that beach. Alright, so it shows the map at the top, and then the listing's really big. And you can actually look at all the pictures without having to change web pages by clicking just on the arrows. And then the other website is pretty nice, has a really good map for you, very truly alike, and then you just scroll up and down here, sort by days on the website of the most popular listings that people are looking at lately, and it gives you a really good feel for the market. Now with vacation rentals, I'm going to use 3 examples. And before I get there, I'm just going to give you a little input on what's going on with the market. And the main issue is the prices went up 30%. That's painful. At the same time, the rents, they also popped up like an extra 20-25%. So there's some balance there, which is very important to investors. And we're having inventory problems. Let's see if I can get this out of the way here. Yeah, so here's for Oak Island, Holden Beach, etc. In 3 years we've gone from 11 months of inventory down to 2 months of inventory. And then over here we have Carolina Beach, Wrightsville Beach, and we've gone from 8 months of inventory down to 2 months of inventory right now. Very challenging situation here, just 2 months of inventory. And then the same thing if we go further north at Onslow County, North Topsail Beach, Surf City, we have the same situation where we've gone from 10 months of homes in 1 year down to 2 months of homes. So it's quite exasperating for being an agent. What do you do with these properties? And how do you know which beach you want to be on? Where do you start? It's just really overwhelming. It's like trying to start homeschooling for the first time. It's overwhelming, but really it's not. If you just have a little guidance, you can do this, and it's not rocket science at all. It's just that there's very few realtors that are in this niche deeply enough to give you, what you need to make an informed decision and to protect your interests. So Most people coming down here, they already lean towards the beach, or they're very open-minded and it's only about the numbers. I find it's really about, people like to be where they know already. So if you're comfortable and you vacation at Holden Beach or Oak Island already, you're 80% sure you're going to land there because that's what you're comfortable with. If you're only about the numbers, you'll also go from North Topsail Beach or Emerald Isle all the way around to Ocean Isle Beach, and you'll be very open-minded. But I find most people actually are leaning in a direction, and we work with that. Or sometimes I say, well, let's beach hop one time, and we'll go from Surf City to Carolina Beach to Oak Island, Holden Beach, Ocean Isle Beach, and you'll have a big picture of the market, and you'll know that you're not missing out on anything. You'll know that you didn't not see something and made a mistake. You'll have confidence that you saw all the beaches, all their different demographics and ambiances, and yet you still wanted to be here, and you'll have more confidence that way as a consumer. So I've pulled up 3 homes here, or 4, and I'm going to use these as 3 or 4 case studies for a vacation rental. This is a rental machine, 1273 OBW, that's Ocean Boulevard West in Holden Beach. Real quick, let's see the pics of it. And it's a rental machine largely because it has a pool. Pools at the beach, you know, totally do very well. I've got to figure out how to get this out of the way. All right. And then in the interior, real quick, it shows well. Let's see how clean it is. And so it's not Pottery Barnside. It's dated inside. But it's also not, you know, a disaster or ugly. It really needs to be prettied up a bit with new floors and better paint color selections. Paint the cabinets as well. This home is, I believe it was a, let's see here. This is 6 bedroom, 6 bath. Okay, so what does a 6 bedroom, 6 bath get you? It gets you $146,000 of rental income. Now the question is, how much of that do you get to keep? Well, I drew up a little scheme of that, or marked it up. It's also managed here by, for what it's worth, Hobbs Realty, and these are the people who are able to squeeze. Let's see if I can get to the bottom line of the, here we go, of the sheet. So yeah, here they go, 146,000. This was so far in 2021. It's actually going to have more than that. So my numbers are going to be off because there are empty weeks in November and December as of the time this listing went up that I'm sure have filled up by then. Therefore, the real rent for this really is probably like 160 grand. So keep that in mind as I underestimated the numbers. But when you gross 146,000, what does that mean? So that's 1273 OBW, gross 146. Here you have some information about the home. The main issue I want to cover are your expenses. The flood insurance for that is $1,800. A lot of times people think flood insurance is going to be huge. No, often it's not. On most beaches it's pretty minimal. But wind and hail insurance, that is the beast from the east, you might call it. So wind and hail is $8,000. The lawn and pool for the year is $1,000. The cable and internet phone for the year, $2,400. Water, electric, pest, the management fee using 18%, $27,000. Should you manage it on your own? Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, more and more people are, and they're taking the money and running with it and netting and grossing more in the first place because they can pay attention to the listing and make sure that it's getting the maximum attention reviews and go higher up in the Vrbo rankings. And then your tax is $5,600. So the gross, really, it's about $160,000. The expenses are going to end up being $45,000. So the net, I have it here as 100, but really it's 110,000. So on 150 grand, you keep 100 is a good little rule. Essentially, the expenses equaled 31% of the gross. Now that's on the more expensive homes. If the home was smaller and only grossing like 50,000, well then instead of you keeping 70%, you might only keep 50%. So there's a the lines change. The more rent you collect, some of the expenses are somewhat fixed, so the higher ratio of profit you have, return on investment. So if possible, you usually want to try and extend yourself and get the most rent money you can. So that's one example of how a rental machine works for a larger home. That's 6 bedroom, 6 bath. Here we have I believe this is a second row home. Let me see, 508. Yes, second row home in Oak Island, otherwise known as Okie. And let's look at the pictures real quick, and we'll find out if it's that exciting or not. If I recall, it's not Pottery Barn inside. It's just sort of blah. Let's see. And that's why it's a good. So that's pretty nice. It does have new good flooring, good drapes. Okay, it shows pretty well. Let's see the kitchen real quick. Okay, so I would say it's in that upper tier. It shows really well compared to most beach homes. It's not top notch, but it's definitely the top 20% of homes. Has a good view, as you can see here. And going to the details real quick, I believe this one I wanted to show you what a second home row grosses. It's probably going to sell for $630, and the gross rent here, I think I had it somewhere. Okay, so the second row home with 3 bedrooms, I found it. The gross rent for 2021 prepaid $54,000. 54 grand for a second row home. So that's averaging $17,000 a room for the second row type scenario. So keep that in mind. You used to get $10,000 a room on the second row, but now with that big bump in rental values, we're $17,000 a room on the second row. So I thought that would be a great example to you of what you get on the second row. Okay. Next we have just a 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo at Kure Beach. And this is actually in what's called a condotel at Atlantic Towers Condo. And these have a lot of potential because it has very low rental HOA fees and rental management fees. Combined, it's let's see, for management and the HOA fee combined, it's $6,500, which is fantastic. And this one grossed, this is their tax statement from 2019, 40 grand. Okay, so 40 grand, and the property was sold for 420. So they're shooting for that. That's almost 10% of list price, 40 grand in relation to 420. Over here, remember this one? It grosses 160 grand. That's about 11% of the list price. It's ideal to get there around the 10% level. It's harder to find that now. Used to be pretty easy, but prices have gone up, rents went up. It just seems like usually we're getting 8% now. So if you can find those gems of 10% of list price, your gross rental income is 10% of list price, then you've got a winner in a lot of ways, assuming there's not some major problem with the flood insurance numbers because of erosion or a special assessment looming. There's a variety of issues. But this is a good example because it shows you for a 2 bedroom oceanfront condo, this one grossed 40 grand, but remember that's from several years ago. Now the 2 bedroom, 2 baths at Kure Beach, they literally just bumped from 40 grand to 50 grand. In fact, this one here, I believe, is bragging about, okay, it's also that same, well, it proves my point. 50 grand this year, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and it's only 820 square feet. Oceanfront condo at Kure Beach. That shows you how the numbers have gone up. They went from 40 grand to 50 grand. And lately I've come across 2 in the 60s that were not that exciting inside, but they're being managed privately very well on Airbnb, as you see here in VRBO. People that manage these on their own can make a killing if they just follow the basic guidelines of how to manage it on your own. There's strategies and things you're supposed to do, like getting reviews for your stays. That way when someone shoots up for rental properties, Oceanfront and Carolina Beach on Vrbo, if your property shows up 12 instead of 112, well, you get to gross 60 grand. The people down there at 112 get to gross 48 grand. You see my point. That's the most important variable of all. Individual owners can work the system and move their way up. The big management companies that have 50 homes to manage, they can't really be as effective on Vrbo and Airbnb as private owners. So there you go. That's some of your basics on vacation rental income. My initial video on this actually had a lot more examples and stuff, but I'm just too busy to fool with this now. Maybe I can do a part 2 later, but that's a good idea what you get. Oceanfront, consider it 25 grand a room. If you have a pool, 30 grand a room. And if you're second row, it gets up to 17 grand a room. If it has a pool, 20 grand a room. So that's just some basics to work with. We go up and down from there in both directions, because it can be less for different reasons. But I've got an example of a home here. Let's see. It's just a tiny 3-bedroom home in Holden in Oak Island, I think. This little guy here, yeah. A little cottage, only 850 square feet. This thing was grossing 70 grand. I mean, that's crazy. That's like almost 25 grand a room with no pool and very humble inside. And why was it grossing so well? When you pull up small oceanfront cottages in Oak Island in Vrbo, it's the #1 home that shows up at the top. So he doesn't even need the home to pop inside and be like Pottery Barn, Krabby Chic. It's taking care of itself really well. But my point is, generally 20 grand a room oceanfront or 25 grand a room oceanfront. All right, I'll talk to you later. When you need help looking at second homes by the beach, I'm their go-to person and very aggressive. Like I said, I closed 8 homes in August. But I know all the beaches, #1, and I know what the rental numbers are supposed to be for every niche you can imagine practically off the top of my head, and I don't think any other agent does that. Thanks so much. Have a good day.